Are you afraid of God?
No. But I'm afraid of you.
So, 2022. I think Spider-Man should have came out this year. That means 10/20. But anyways, this is the second video of the year on this channel. And this is actually a deep analysis video. And you won't see my face overlaid with footage from the game. And also images and things. By the way, fair use and all that. And what I'm trying to say is that I love your game. And this is basically just like a deep analysis on my personal feelings on what the game's elements and ending was like. So let's go through this game. So I should also do another video this week. I'm gonna do a video on basically Garth Ennis, like how I did the Mark Miller video. I will bring up some adaptations of his work, but basically I'm mostly gonna focus on his books. But anyway, the game that I'm going to talk about today is my favourite, BioShock Infinite. Now, first before we begin, I am a fan of this game. I do actually have BioShock merch, and I did actually complete the first game before New Year's Eve happened. But I haven't actually played the second one yet. I did play a wee bit of it. But we're not going to talk about these two games. We're going to talk about the third game, BioShock Infinite, which is my favourite game of all time. But we're going to discuss elements of the story and spoilers, so yeah. Beginning with BioShock was actually with Pyro Cynical, as is in his Far Cry video. He basically talks about Vaz, and there's this bit where basically there's footage of Elizabeth. I was really interested as in for what was that all about, and basically tried to find it and then found out the game. And basically just looked into it and became a fan. The creator of BioShock, Ken Levine, decided that his next game, after having full creative control, as in for what he wanted to do. After BioShock, he basically didn't want to just do like the exact same game again, but in water, and decided to make BioShock Infinite. The game's production began in 2008 or just like 9, and while this was happening, BioShock 2 came out, and Ken wasn't even involved. In 2010, the first trailer was shown, and basically it showed something completely different. Now, usually change is bad for some people, but this was different. This city wasn't like Rapture. It believed in American patriotism and religion. And basically was a self-hand, basically fuck you to America. There was also this mysterious woman character in the game that was really interesting, but we'd have to wait in order to see it. The game was then revealed in another demo, well, this was an actual demo, and basically showed what the world was going to be like. We also got to find out who she was. Her name was Elizabeth. And plus we also had non-silent protagonists. She could also use powers that could be used with vigors instead. But this was just a demo, and the game would take a much more longer time to get released.
That's him!
The second demo was revealed at, E3 2011 and showed a lot more promise, with the new voice cast being Troy Baker as Booker and Courtney Draper as Elizabeth.
Gold!
That's gold, like I'm the King of England.
Great stuff. But this was just the second demo, and plus, the game still was in development, so they had to cut corners in order to get the game released on the software, because the game was so big that they couldn't. So they brought in someone who actually worked on the second game, and even the first one, to basically fix it up a lot more, just to get it out there. The game was released the 26th of March 2013 and was a smash hit, with critics and even doing really well with sales. Critics praised the game's scope and storytelling. But the game has recently followed through criticism due to how it isn't really as good as the first two games. I disagree with those. But the reason I'm here today is to basically explain how this game affected me, and the storytelling and basically elements of it. But in order to do that, we will need to go into some spoiler territory, as I'm going to dissect through the plot. I will skip some stuff, but still, let's go to the plot. Booker DeWitt is taken by the Luteces to a lighthouse, where he must bring them the goal and wipe away the debt that he has. Well, you see, Booker was a part of the Pinkertons, and after his wife died giving childbirth, he sold his daughter, and basically now needs to repay his debt due to his gambling addiction. He goes up to the top of the lighthouse and basically sounds off a signal and basically this is what happens. Kind of like what happens to Jack in the first game. He's taken into this chair and basically is blasted off into the sky, where we get to see Columbia.
Attention.
Just stay calm.
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. Hallelujah.
Just like how Jack enters into Rapture, this is just gorgeous to look at. The city is filled with incredibleness. Plus, it's an American city. But, as we'll soon learn later, this city isn't as beautiful as it may seem. Never judge a book by its cover. The city is very religious, which Booker is against because he almost took a baptism years ago, but he decided to quit it due to his whole problem. But basically, he takes the baptism and is sent into the city. Booker is tasked to go to Monument Island, but we also get to discover something new about this game. Vigors. These are similar to plasmids from the first game, and they do actually have really good powers. Well, maybe there are some side effects. Also, Booker attends a raffle, and then we discover the true problems with Columbia. It's deep-ridden with racism. Booker is found out and believed to be the false shepherd, which would bring the apocalypse of the city. But he deals with it in his way. Booker escapes all the cops and gets to Monument Island. And then we meet Elizabeth.
Hello. Hey! Knock it off! Stop it! Will you stop it? Not here to hurt you.
Who are you?
My name is DeWitt. I'm a friend. I come to get you out of
Get
here.
away! Are you real?
I'm real enough.
He's coming. You've gotta go.
Elizabeth is scared and does not want Booker to get hurt, but basically when she's surprised when Booker has the key. The key to basically the door that keeps her locked in the tower. She escapes and basically they both get out of there. Booker and Elizabeth get to the top of the tower, but the songbird knocks her over. They start falling until Booker grabs Elizabeth and basically they attach this to the skyhook into the railing and basically escape the songbird, with the songbird trying to get them. They managed to escape, well, I'm going to say barely managed to escape, and managed to land into the water. With the songbird landing in the water to try and get him, but the pressure nearly breaks it. The songbird is a giant creature that's trying to get Elizabeth back. Booker nearly drowns, and basically Elizabeth saves him, and basically they get into some really good banter. And this is what leads to the best part about the game, in my opinion. Booker and Elizabeth are really, really likable characters. And also, we should get thanks to Courtney Draper and Troy Baker. They really made these characters really, really likable, and it's just wonderful to listen to them.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
Yep.
Every single part of them is just really, really enjoying to watch, and you really do feel like you really do like them. But as this video shall go on, you understand why I mentioned stuff like this. Booker tricks Elizabeth into thinking that they're going to go to Paris because she's always wanted to go there, a dream of hers. But he's really going to take her to New York, but it's the only way to get her off the dance floor. Anyways, then we get to this man. This is the whole reason that basically this whole thing goes underway and how Elizabeth changes as a character. They're ambushed by people trying to get Elizabeth, but basically Booker is also injured, but also manages to kill all of them. But Elizabeth is repulsed by Booker due to him killing these guys. She calls him a monster, but Booker explains that she's not safe, as she's a powerful investment. After some stuff with the whole shock jockey stuff, Elizabeth discovers that Booker is lying to her, but to Paris, and instead going to take her to New York. She's not happy about this and basically tricks him into believing that she's sad, and then
Talk to me and we can...
Daisy Fitzroy, the Vox Populi, orders Booker in order to get guns from Chen Lin. He teams back up with Elizabeth, and basically they go to get the guns. But turns out Chen Lin has been murdered. This is bad though, because they need to get the guns back. Then there are tests pop up and basically tell them that you should look at it a different way. Then Elizabeth discovers that there's a tail where she can go into another dimension. Also, can I just mention, I do not like Lulu Tesses. I just found them annoying. But anyways. Yeah, also, I might have skipped some few things. The Vox Populi stuff with Daisy Fitzroy and the shock jockey thing with Slate. I'm going to just skip that because it doesn't really serve the plot that much. Although, well, maybe the Daisy Fitzroy one does do a lot more, because that's what we're leading up into next. Then we get to this scene. Elizabeth kills Daisy Fitzroy. This is the first time that Elizabeth's ever killed someone, and she really feels guilty for it. I know this is a bioshock game, but the game was played differently, and you really do feel bad for Elizabeth, as she has to commit these horrible acts in order to get to Paris and all that stuff. And it's sad. Elizabeth gets a new wardrobe robe and basically they plan to go to Paris. But Elizabeth is basically asked Booker, can you wash away the things that you've done? No. You just learn to forget it. And basically, Elizabeth is now fully a changed person. But the songbird appears and basically destroys the ship. With the modes of transport destroyed, they basically take away around. But Elizabeth tells Booker if the songbird ever catches her, Booker has to kill her, as she does not want to go back to being tortured. Booker says this will never happen though, as he will protect her. Just cut to a few minutes later, Booker is attacked by the songbird, and basically Elizabeth says ask the songbird to take her home in order to save Booker. She knows she'll be tortured, but she wants to save him. And this is where we get this shot. This is really, really sad because you really feel bad for Elizabeth. She's a character that's very sweet, and now, well, the songbird takes her back to Comstock, and basically Booker follows. But when he gets there, we get a little bit of a flip. Turns out an elder Elizabeth transported Booker to the future in order to give him notes on how to destroy the songbird, and basically the New York that he saw. Booker manages to go back and basically stop Elizabeth from being tortured, well, almost, and then this scene happens. Elizabeth is saved by Booker and she wants to kill Comstock, but Booker doesn't really feel like it and just wants to go to Paris. But she...
And so what, you're going to kill him?
This is where you start moralizing, Booker. You forget. I know you.
I'm not going to let you kill him.
Really? Booker? What are you going to do to stop me?
Not a damn thing. Because I'm going to do it for you.
It's a tragedy. Elizabeth was a sweet woman who wanted to visit Paris. She had so much joy. But for the violence and basically torture that she suffers through, she changes into someone else. And basically, you're not as good as Booker. And trust me, it gets a lot worse later. They find Comstock, but Comstock basically says that Booker knows more than he's letting on. And basically, Booker gets so angry that he actually kills Comstock. Elizabeth doesn't want him to, but basically, as she wants to get answers for what he was talking about. But Booker's already done it and killed him. But then...
Your nose. It's bleeding.
What? Elizabeth, I swear to you.
Booker and Elizabeth manage to get control of the songbird and basically order it to destroy Monument Tower where Elizabeth lives, as the machine has basically got her powers. The songbird destroys the thing. As it explodes, Elizabeth gets her powers back. But also, as this happens, the machine that controls the songbird is destroyed, so they cannot control it. But Elizabeth takes care of the songbird as she opens up a portal down to Rapture, quite cool, and the songbird is now underwater, and it drowns, with Elizabeth calming it as it descends deeper and dies. Booker does feel lost for it, but basically Elizabeth is now as cold as ever. Can't really emote due to the trauma of her experience with Booker. They get up to the top and basically discover that there's like tons of lighthouses because there's tons of universes. Infinite is the name of the game because it is about infinite timelines. But basically, there's also mentions of there's always a man, there's always a city, and there's always a lighthouse. Elizabeth takes Booker to basically the point where basically he sold Anna. As it turns out that Elizabeth is actually Anna, his daughter that he sold to pay his gambling debt. And she was taken by none other than to Booker, aka Comstock. Comstock raised Anna as his own and took him away from Booker. Booker wants to get Elizabeth back, but for the tugging of war, he loses Elizabeth and she's taken away by Comstock. He couldn't save his daughter twice. Booker, now furious, wants to kill Comstock, but Elizabeth takes him back to the baptism spot where they visited earlier. Elizabeth tells Booker that Comstock started when Booker took the baptism, but this was a universe where Booker didn't take one. So basically, all the other Elizabeths confront him and say the only way to kill Comstock is to kill him. And basically, he allows it, as he wants to save his daughter and he wants to save Elizabeth. That he allows the Elizabeths to drown him in order to save their lives.
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
No. They're both.
I thought they would go to Paris and be happy. I thought Booker would take care of Elizabeth because he just got his daughter back. But no. It's just Elizabeth drowning Booker, staring at you as you die. The first time I saw this ending, after falling in love with both Booker and Elizabeth, I find them really, really likable characters. This ending, I couldn't believe it. I thought that this was just the bad ending. I thought because in the original Bioshock they had that. But it turns out that was the ending that there is. I felt very depressed, and this was just really depressing for me. I really love these characters, and just to see this happen to them, it's sad, and it's really depressing on me. A lot of people don't know, probably have also felt depressed by this. Sad endings are usual for a lot of stuff, but yeah, this one was something that hit hard for me. And I thought I can get better with the next project that Ken Levine did. You see, after Bioshock Infinite was released, there was downloadable content for the complete edition. Well, this one right here. This being Brew at Sea Episode 1 and Brew at Sea Episode 2, being the final Bioshock games to be worked on. Until now, actually, until this year, we were getting Bioshock Isolation. Seems interesting. The game begins in an office, well, actually Booker DeWitt's office, as he's visited by a mysterious woman at first. He tells her that they're closed, but she has her own kind of ideas on how to sort this whole thing out. Booker gets up and walks towards her and basically asks her, "What's your name?"
Well, you Got a name, miss?
Elizabeth. You can call me Elizabeth.
Booker wonders why she's here, and basically she asks that she's looking for a little girl called Sally. Booker believes her to be dead or just turned into a little sister. Turns out she is. And basically, Booker they try to save her through a lot of stuff with Big Daddies, but at the end, it turns out that Booker might have some flashbacks. It's revealed that this is actually Comstock, and this is the original Elizabeth from the end of the first game. She basically came to Rapture in order to deal with this Comstock because this Elizabeth had a little trouble. Comstock remembers everything and is just pleading for Elizabeth to forgive him. But Elizabeth is just as cold as ever.
No, you're not. But you're about to be.
Elizabeth would fit into Rapture perfectly. She's as cold as ever. All that torture has affected her mentally. She loves seeing Comstock murdered. And then... I searched for the ending before I actually figured out what was going on. I was curious to see if there was a happy ending. But there never was. But I will get into how I managed to not get that depressed. And I shall get to that after I explain the plot. After Elizabeth wakes up next to the dead corpse of Comstock, she's held at gunpoint by Atlas and his crew who are trying to get back up to the Rapture. Booker is there and basically tells Elizabeth to say that she can get them back up there. But also, this Elizabeth doesn't have powers now, as she can't go anywhere now. She can't go back to Columbia, and she can't even go to Paris, where she's always wanted to go. But she does with Atlas's plan, and then we get this scene.
Listen, I got you your gun. I'm here for my ass.
But my Booker DeWitt died for the Vox Populi. You either an imposter or a ghost. My Booker DeWitt was a hero to the cause, a story to tell your children. You just protect the nest.
Look, are you there? I miss you. You were the only one who ever... You were my only friend. Booker,
I'm not even here. I'm a projection of your own.
could you humor me then? Please.
I think Booker would miss you.
Through everything she's gone through, with Booker's death, her torture, her killing, and Comstock, you think she would be dead inside, her soul gone. But in this scene, she shows she still has kind of a heart. Something that the Elizabeth had. She was sweet, she was nice. And when Booker allows Elizabeth to kill him, it's because he's being like a real dad. He wants her to be safe, he wants his daughter to be saved. So he allows her to kill him. But she keeps going on, trying to stop Comstock. You could even say this about Booker. He basically went down a gambling path. But he swore that basically he could pay it if he protected Elizabeth. He protected her with his life. And she thanked him for it. So Elizabeth hates Comstock. But she loves Booker as her actual father. So it's kind of sweet. Elizabeth does everything that Atlas wants. And basically, Atlas lets Sally go. but she doesn't get off lucky. Atlas is given the cone and basically sends up Jack into the city so the first events of Bioshock can happen. Since he's done with Elizabeth, But as Elizabeth has a vision. She sees Jack from the first game. And then we see that Jack saved the little sisters, including Sally. So everything she did was to save Sally and save the little sisters. Her sacrifice made the whole series happen, concluding it into a one big loop. And as Elizabeth dies of a brain concussion, Sally's there holding her hand. Singing Olivia and Rose is the game, with the game starting with it. She smiles and dies. Elizabeth dying and Booker dying twice is upsetting because these were really likable characters and I didn't want to see them die. This made me feel really depressed. But I did hear a theory that due to the infinite timelines, there is a timeline where Elizabeth and Booker are safe and basically he never sold her. And he never got into gambling, and everything was fine. And that actually could be explained by this.
Anna? Is that you?
So, there might be a world where Booker and Elizabeth are okay. At least that means that people who, just like me, who felt really sad for that ending, can have a good ending. Or maybe she will appear in Bioshock Isolation, both of them, to tie up or maybe give an actual answer, or just leave a question for an interpretation. Our answer might be the best one if you want the happy ending. So that was my video on Bioshock Infinite and how it broke me. But I guess I could talk about really good elements that I did probably want to talk about now. This is my favorite game of all time, but I had to discuss my biggest problem with the game. But I will admit, the game is beautiful and gorgeous. And it did give me some really, really amazing characters. Plus, it's just a wonderful game. This ending is really sad to me, and I really, really wish it had a happy ending. But since with that theory, I have been able to calm down and basically understand that it probably would have a happy ending. It just isn't implied. So basically, yeah, I really do like this game. And I hope people actually warm up to it a lot more instead of bashing it. It really is an amazing game. Plus, it did kind of help me inspire the book that I'm writing. A lot of elements from Bioshock and other media that I like is going into this book. I will try and have a finger with the design, but still. I will recommend Bioshock Infinite. It's a game that you'll absolutely love, and plus, I love it as it's my total king of my favorite video games of all time.